Alright, today what I have here is the Excalibur Micro. It's a 350. And I put a bipod on it for a few reasons. One, I can shoot off a table, such so, and I'm of course not holding it properly because I have shit in my way, but you get the gist of it. And also it can be displayed. I can shoulder it very easily just by tucking these in. Like so. I need the bow, swing it out. I have on it everything I need to run the bow with. Like basically, if I want extra bolts, I'll have another quiver. And if I need anything else, well, I'd have a backpack. But pretty much, I can run the bow just on its own with everything you see here. It's got the, I think they're called the cocking strings. Basically pull these, it's acting like a pulley, and it yanks them back. Go on, Bogart, go on. And then in these SKS ammo pouches, I have everything I need to run the bow. I've got an extra string. I've got the bow stringer, which is this tool here. It's very simple to use. Basically, it just goes in on both sides. Has to be sized to your bow, of course. And funny, I say simple, and of course, when I try and show it, it is simple. It's just that I have to get it on there. That gets in like so. And then you cock this, run it all the way, cock it. And that detensions and it holds your leaves back. You can restring it relatively easily. Just quickly get this thing off now. I'm just going to make it bigger, and then I'll have to resize it later. But anyway, you all get the idea of it. Got my extra string right there. And we have string wax. You don't wax the rail. I've seen some things where people do it. I wouldn't recommend that. Just clean it with some rubbing alcohol if you have stuff on it. But this should be just smooth and dry. The string gets waxed, and that just keeps it so it doesn't get dry and brittle and fall apart. And also it keeps this little contact area malleable, I guess, and wear free. Just gives an extra layer of coating, I guess, some protection. So what I've basically done to it was added the bipod, and I put a couple little just comfort padding on it. That's really it. Other than that, the bow is fine just the way it was. The scope is beautiful. It's an Octane 0 point, and I've got it set for 350. Seems to work just fine. The other pouch contains all the tools I need to run the bow itself, such as Allen tool. This is a takedown. Actually, all crossbows are. I don't know why they sell the Assassin as a takedown, because there's just a bolt here you undo once this bipod comes off. There's a bolt that holds the bow to the rifle-like part of the crossbow. I don't know what to call it. I guess the armature, but anyway, you get my idea. I've got these gimmicky little things here. It's supposed to be like shotgun effect. They're small game heads. They're filled with birdshot. They're supposed to explode and put birdshot inside your game, but they're gimmicky. The ones I do like are the ones that they sell that are filled with deer scent. So you fill them with deer scent, and then you can shoot them against a tree. They blow up or break up against a tree, splash, and they end up there. I don't know if you can see it, but they end up leaving the scent on the tree without you going up to the tree and leaving your scent there as well. And then you can be up in a tree stand, wait for a deer to come and shoot it. So I think the scent ones are a better idea. These are stupid. They also break when they hit. They're one-time use. And then this plastic thing gets stuck inside where your arrow threads in. Not the best. Just cool idea. So I bought them. I tried them out. Just, I wouldn't buy any more. I got target heads here. These work just as good as these, probably better because they're reusable. They're just basically your standard bullet head target. Boom. I forgot to organize myself and I didn't bring out the broadheads. I've got spare broadheads here. Be right back. There we go. Meant to put these out. So we have Excalibur broadheads. These are razors. That's what you would use for deer. You don't use these target heads for deer. These are for rabbit, small squirrel maybe. If you're going squirrel, I don't even know if you do that. Grouse, sure. But mostly for target practice. And they're the same weight. So they're 150 grain. I use 150 grain with the quill. The Excalibur Micro is set up for quills, so you should use quills. I've made the mistake in buying, I thought Excalibur was Excalibur, and then I realized there's Diablo and there's Firebolt. Those are for two different other kind of crossbows, which I do not own, by the way. However, these will work in a pinch with your bow. They're a little longer and, of course, heavier, so you have to readjust your scope to shoot them. They will work. I would not use any cheap bolts on the Excaliburs. I wouldn't use anything that's not Excalibur. The reason for that is that I find they wear out your string a lot faster. I was using cheap ones, and some of them were so cheap, and even homemade bolts, bad mistake, don't use wood. They literally shred apart. They just explode before they even make it off the track, and they'll cut up your string, and they're very dangerous. They send shards everywhere. Also, a fiberglass bolt. Some of the cheap ones, the string will just shred right through them, splitting them in half, and it cuts your string, wasting it. So it's hard on the bow. Come on, move. So I recommend to only shoot Excalibur products out of Excalibur, including arrowheads to the most degree. Yeah, I mean, realistically, you can get away with other heads. I mean, it's just an end of your bolt. But just know what your weight you're using, because if you're finding your bolts are varying, most reason for that is it's going to be a different weight. Second is your bolts might be wearing out. Shoot good condition bolts. Make sure they're always, new or in good condition. You can also repair bolts by getting a Fletch. I think it's called a Fletch setter. Little clamp thing that clamps and then you glue them new Fletches on. Stuff like that. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to play around, especially with my lower power bolts and stuff like that. I'd cut down the Fletches and things like that. I would not recommend doing it with these Excaliburs. They're very powerful bow, and you wouldn't want that potentially going 200 yards and killing someone because it did a weird thing like that. I've got one story of a bolt that I made out of a drill bit head that was is for setting screws. So it's to set a countersink is what you'd call it. So I made a head out of a countersink, and it was an ocean spray piece of wood, with very hard wood. The First Nations used to make arrows out of this exact wood because it grows very straight, it's heavy, and it's strong. And it's good for spears as well. So I made a bolt, and I shot it out of my cheaper crossbow, which I don't have the furnishings for anymore. It's just a LARP. I guess it's a LARPing bow. But anyway, this thing went around a whole bunch of trees, and it lodged itself perfectly into my canoe, putting a hole in my canoe, which I had to repair. So, just a funny story, but I was really lucky. That could have left my yard. I was in the city, and it could have potentially hit someone. So, that's why I don't really muck around with making bolts anymore and stuff like that. I just use the product for Excalibur and use my Excalibur bow. This is the only crossbow I own, only bow I actually own that is good for hunting and can be used for hunting. So that's really all I've got to say about it. I really haven't done a video on my bow ever. I've had this thing for a few years now. Haven't actually successfully taken a deer with it, but I intend to. I just have gone out with my black powder rifle lately. Just haven't taken this on a hunt yet. So maybe this next season I'm actually going to get out there and do it. So yeah, you can, like I said, I think I mentioned about these. These are made for a different bow. You can use them in a pinch, but I'd recommend using quills for the micro. If you have any form of Excalibur micro, use quills. You will be happy. Also, it's a lot more comfortable to shoot when you got them here, because this is in the way, and if it's on the other side, it doesn't work because I'm right-handed. So if you want to use your quills here, the longer ones actually come out like sometimes out to here, and they're rubbing against your wrists, stuff like that. So that's another reason why the quills are perfect for the Excalibur. I have one last thing to say. Now those are your razor heads. These are very, very sharp, and when you're running with one and you're on a hunt, don't put these anywhere near your string. I made that mistake, and I've actually cut my string before. Very easy to do when your adrenaline's all pumped in, and you just grab your bolt, and grab your bow, and you're going on a chase. It's like you just got to really remember what you're doing. And another thing is when these are sit in to place, I'm just going to force it in there right now because I don't want to draw my string back. When they sit in place, you always have one string in the one fletch in the track always, and you want to set it all the way in there. This head should be on this side of your bow. You don't want that head sitting somewhere in here. I mean, some people might say that's fine. I think it's a little more dangerous. A lot of crossbows have actually a little bridge over here. You don't want your bolt to hit that in any way. You want it to be on the other side of that. Just a little safety tip. Take it or don't. That's just a really harsh suggestion I have. I don't think there's any real actual rule about it. There may be a rule in Canada of size of bolt you're allowed. Otherwise considered a dart. And I think dart guns, there might be a law about that. So I don't know. When I don't know the law about it, I don't try and preach it either. I'm just going to just suggest it. And then I say you sort of take your own discretion on that one. Me personally, I just use what's provided because it works. And I think I've exhausted myself on this bow. All I can say is damn accurate, and I love it.